Hello everyone and welcome back to the channel. There has been one of the topics that's being widely discussed in the industry every now and then, AI agents, AI agents. And some of the people have started to see or maybe tell that there is going to be an impact. Based on my experiences leading multiple projects, talking with the leaders in the industry, and concisely understanding what's happening on the ground and where things are heading. I believe, and the industry believe, that the future of teams is going to be the hybrid. It's not going to be only humans, it's not going to be only AI agents, but the best model that seems to be out there is AI agents and humans. So in today's video, we are going to explore this how does this hybrid teams comes into play. What are the issues that we are facing? What are some of the practical things that we can do? Third is how do we transform our team, or if you're a leader, how do we envision the thinking about these hybrid teams and maybe a definite roadmap that can help you implement those things in the strategize those teams in the environment or the organizations that you have. So transform your team productivity and take it to the next level with the help of these agents and humans collaboration. But before we dive that much deep, let me ask you a quick question. If you reflect back on your team's last two sprints, how much of the work accomplished is truly represented on your roadmap? I am not referring here to the features you delivered. If you understand, I mean the time invested in resolving issues with an unstable CI/CD pipeline, maybe developing a temporary script for data migration, or manually revising numerous boilerplate files for a new microservice. This is something that I call as gray work. It represents the unspoken shadow roadmap that you have, the hidden cost that diminishes our productivity, and it's a continuous flow of minor tasks, too insignificant for a dedicated project. Yet they are too frequent to overlook. These tasks consume our weeks, creating a persistent sense that we are exerting significant effort without substantial progress. And if you have been around for these numerous sprints, you'll understood by now, you'll understand what mean here. And the reason for this is that we categorize all of these things as technical debt. However, with the advance of this AI agents, it's just transforming. With the advent of this AI-powered coding assistants like Cursor, Cloud Code, GitHub Copilot, Chime, and all these numerous things, we are producing code at an unprecedented rate. Yet our operational systems have not evolved accordingly. We are integrating AI into outdated manual frameworks. And the consequence is very fatal. It is a novel form of depth, not merely organized code, but fragmented processes, unreliable integrations, an AI-generated boilerplate that lacks clear ownership. And we are accelerating at such a fast pace towards structured disorder. And if you're a engineering leader or a senior developer viewing this, this is the pressing issue that might already be confronting today. And if it's not, then it's going to hit your son. And that's one of the reasons. If it has already hit you, stay with me as we are going to address it effectively. The idea that we have here is, what if we begin to view AI not merely as advanced autocomplete tool, but as a genuine team member? This is maybe a transformative concept, and I'm very eager to discuss this thing, that the future of the high performing teams, engineering teams that we have, is neither solely AI or nor humans. It is hybrid. And like why I'm saying this, like let us recall major advancements that we have in software development. Agile was not only about increasing speed, it was about redefining a collaborative process. And at the same point of time, DevOps was not only about acquiring new tools, it was about eliminating barriers between development and operations. The transition that we have to hybrid, that agentic teams represent the natural next progression. It involves designing workflows where humans excel in strategy, integrate problem solving, and critical decision making, while AI agents manage well defined, repetitive, and scalable tasks. And this approach is not only about substitution, it's about amplification. It amplifies, it elevates the senior talent from routine execution to strategic oversight and innovation. And it enables us to address the grave work, the depth, and we have and focus on meaningful advancements that drive our progress. Envision your team not merely completing sprints, but what if they excel in them, like a fine-tuned system with enhanced capabilities? But the next question comes, like, what is the playbook? How do you implement these things? And let's discuss about some of the strategies or the frameworks or principles that we can keep in mind while designing a team like that. The first step that we have is kind of identify what exactly is the gray work that we have. During the next sprint that you have, instruct the team to label every relevant task. It might be updating dependencies, creating API client code, boilerplate, new components, generating unit tests. And what you'll observe that there's a Pareto principle at work. 80% of the gray work rise from 20% of the sources. Focus on those frequent, low risk areas. Avoid overwhelming yourself. Select one key issue at a time and address it systematically. The next step comes that you should design the agent plus audit loop. And this is the core mechanism, a simple workflow with two essential components. First, the agent. This is about the AI-driven automation that you have. It might be custom script integrated into CI/CD that might be activated on every pull request or specialized co-pilot trained for tailored for your team. It's a or maybe it might be an agent or like a workflow that tool that you have in the MCPs. Its purpose is to execute the identified tasks such as generating documentation for a new endpoint. And importantly, remember that the agent does not integrate directly into the main branch. This is where the audit intervenes. The output is automatically routed to a human for examination. How a lot of these coding assistants or ID or terminal based assistants are doing, but there is a human in the loop principle. The human responsibility is verification, applying their expertise and judgment. The function is to review process for your AI collaborator. And the better this function is, the better you can build these systems. Because if you do not evaluate these things properly, then obviously these things will seep into technical depth over time. So one of the main function of the human is to go into details and test out like the hypothesis that they have, like are the agents following them? And this is one of the steps that like the audit loop that I'm saying. This is one of the steps that ensures the efficiency of the automation is there while we still have control over the quality. And then finally, once we are designing it, it's more of an iterative process. We need to enforce some sort of a code hygiene for these agents. And AI, because the issue is AI can amplify issues if not managed properly. So we have to have established hygiene practices. And a few of those practices is treat the prompt that we have as code, store agent prompts in a version control, review modification as you would without any code alteration. Refine because refined prompts are critical resource, like we should safeguard it. Then the second thing is we should have agent specific LinkedIn. That for different things we should have these link processes because that it can really help the generated things that we have. Uh, for example, we can have one for JSON generation and we can enforce some schema compliance for code production data. Like we can detect what are the common issues. Some of the new age IDs or terminal-based assistants already have these things into play at a basic level, but we can like fine-tune our practices on that and enforce these things because this thing serves as a protective measure at scale. And the final thing that we have is agent retrospect retro that we have that during similar to what we have during sprint reviews introduce we can introduce discussion. What manual tasks did we perform that our agent could have managed? This evolves your hybrid team into an adaptive learning design. And then finally, once you have those things, in a lot of things, the agent doesn't do that good. So we can again have that point put up that this was done by an agent, but it didn't did that job well. So what we could as a human should do and not rely on agent for the next time. So this way we are trying to iterate our hybrid team that we have. And in this way, we can isolate the gray work, implement the agent with audits, and maintain hygiene. So if I try to summarize some of the things that we just discussed, is that first step, the first framework or the principle that we have is we should identify and isolate the gray area and what it would really help us in having a clear understanding and visibility into the automation targets that can have. Second is designing the agent in the audit loop. This is a very iterative process in which we automate tasks with AI, have a human review, which which serves us for two reasons. The first is speed that we are moving faster than ever before, but at the same point of time, how do we maintain the quality such that after a certain point, the speed keeps on increasing, and it's not like we are not stuck in the bottleneck of the technical depth. And third is the code hygiene that we like similar to how we do for humans, we should have a code hygiene for these agents where we maintain these prompts, code disciplines. If you're using Claude Code, Claude.md, the guardrails instructions that we have, which helps in developing the sustainable and involving automation or the hybrid team systems that we are talking about. Finally, these were like at a high level, I try to explain, but how exactly can we implement these things? So I would be sharing some of the things that are being practically discussed at this point of time in the industry that we can have something sort of a 30, 60, 90-day plan. And this is maybe not very long overall, but this is an initiative that you can test this quarter and observe tangible outcomes. And this is maybe this is like a one-pager outcome, one-pager map of how we can use these things. Also in the description, you'll find details. So to start with, the day 1 to 30. You select one team and gray work and one gray work task. Establish a basic agent plus audit loop and try to quantify the time savings that is there. So for the first few days, it might be going into implementing those things, but after that, try to quantify what are the time savings. And some of those results may really surprise you. A lot of teams I know now, instead of code writing these tests, a lot of these tests, unit tests or integration tests, they are just persisting on these IDs or coding assistants for doing that. A lot of people for refactoring their smaller code bases are just relying on these things. So for some of these things, you'll be surprised to hear those things. And then in the next the 1 to 2 month time frame when it's the day 31 to 60, you need to refine the loops. You need to enhance the prompts that you have. You have to incorporate some of these linting rules and then share some of the insights that you have with different teams that you have just so that they can try and update the process. And then finally, in the last quarter or day 61 to 90, you identify your next automation opportunity, maybe within your team, maybe within another team, and you keep on expanding these successful elements. And one thing that I would say that the future of the field, the engineering that we have, it extends beyond developing these AI products. It encompasses this creating these AI integrated teams and workflows to build and iterate on them. And a lot of times, what you'll realize from the overburdened teams that we have, we can become very highly collaborative. And I think we and a lot of people have started to implement those things. And it's time for you to identify those gray work areas and begin constructing your hybrid teams. If these things resonated with you, please let me know in the comments or reviews, like if it's helpful and what are the biggest issues you are facing while implementing some of these things. And I'll be coming back with some of the next steps that people like some of the next steps, the best practices people are doing in the industry, and maybe take an example of how some of the teams would have implemented these things. For now, please put into comments that what is your primary career work and what's a challenge you are taking today. I look forward to your thoughts and thank you. Thank you for your time and until next time.